how's it going? It's Dmitry here, and today we continue discussing about React.js library, and in this particular tutorial we're going to discuss about components, different types of components, how to create your own component, and in general we're going to discuss about different details of developing while using React library. Let's go, guys, let's do it. Okay, first of all, guys, what I'm planning to do, I'm planning to show you guys. You can see here, right, we have this app component, right? So in this app component, it's so-called stateless component, guys. So what the idea of stateless component? Stateless component represents essentially a function, right? You can see it's a function, right? It has a name, and it's returning some stuff, right? And it's returning your div. Guys, every component in React should have at least one element, like for instance div element, right? It should have one div element. For example, if we delete this element, right, straight away it will give us an error, parsing error, unexpected token, right? So guys, idea is, for example, if we delete that, and then if we will add extra div, what will happen? It's also going to give us error, right? And why it will happen? It will happen because we have to wrap both of these divs in a parent div. Expecting corresponding JS closing tag for div, right? So now it's going to work, I believe. So guys, you can see now it's not arguing at all, right? Because now we're wrapping this bold div into parent div, right? So remember about that, guys. So, and one more thing, guys, in general also, guys, this component, right, as I mentioned, it's called stateless component, or another name of this component, functional component, stateless or functional. And another type of components, we call them stateful components, and it's essentially it's a class component, right? So instead of defining a function, we're going to define a class. And guys, we're going to create both types of components from scratch today in this tutorial. Okay guys, let's move on. So also I'm going to show you guys in CSS, right, like that you can change stuff immediately, right? We didn't do it like in previous tutorial. For instance, even here, pretty cool stuff. You can see, guys? So cool stuff, but anyway. So guys, I'm going to reverse it. If I go back, guys, here to our app component, let's create a new file here, and I'm going to call it new component .jsx. Guys, we can use extension JS, or another one we can use JSX. In my company we always use JSX extension. It's a mix of HTML and JavaScript, and that's why we call it JSX. Anyway guys, I'm going to create this file. I call it new component JSX, and it's best practice when you name a new file as a component, just start naming from the uppercases. New component, and I'm using camel caps because you can see there are like two words combined, right? So it's also a good practice to do that. Okay guys, let's move on. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to import React library, and then I'm going to define the actual function, right? I will call it new component, and then as always we need curly braces, and inside we need to return statement, right? And as you remember guys, we need to return at least one div, right? And that's exactly what I'm planning to do. And later on I will show you what I'm going to do, extra thing in order to make this tutorial more exciting, I guess. So guys, now we have this component, right? It's already a component, right? Extra thing what we need, we have to export. Now we imported this library and we created this component. In order to use this component somewhere, we have to export this component. So export default and the name of the component, right? New component. That's it. So now if we go here, we can already import this component, right? Our new component. You can see already, right? It's giving us it automatically, right? VS Code. So specify from / new component, right? That's the actual path. So because it's sitting in the same directory. So and now as a tag, I'm going to define this component. And also, guys, it's up to you. It depends on your implementation where you would like to use this component, right? It's basic component, nothing special about that, right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to place it over here, and literally you can see, right? You kind of define it as like a div, right? Or like any tag, HTML tag. So, but it is component, guys. Don't make an assumption, right? It's not a basic tag, it's component. It's smart. So, guys, here I can do more interesting stuff, right? Because now we pass this component, but we're not doing anything. And before I'm going to do extra stuff, guys, I'm going to tell you, guys, this component, it's a child component for this component. Essentially, this component, app component, is a parent of new component. Again, because we going to call this component from this component, we call in this component as it's a child component of this component of app component, right? And app component in this case, it's a parent component. So guys, and in React, components, they can pass information or data back and forth. And what they usually do, the way of communication or the way how they pass this data, we can pass so-called props. And literally the syntax, how to do that, I will show you. I'm going to show you guys now. For example, I would like to pass this expression. So literally this string is going to be passed at the variable name to this component. So that's the syntax, right? So, and if you go to this component now, you specify this the props, right? You specify props, and now here you can, in the curly braces, you can define this kind of syntax: props dot and the actual name of the variable that, or the actual name of the prop that we trying to pass. In my case, it's name, right? So guys, and pretty much it, right? You can see straight away, guys. Hello crew, pretty cool, isn't it? So yeah, that's how you pass in data from one component to another, right? So guys, and that's how you creating the actual stateless component, right? So now let's create a stateful component or class component, right? let's delete all this stuff, and I'm going import React library, right? So then I'm going to define class, and as I mentioned, it's a class component, right? Stateful component, it's a class component. Class, then the actual name of the class, new component, right? And then the keyword extends, then React and React component, right? So essentially component, you can see it's a property of React, right? So, and now here we need to define a function render, not render but render, and this function render going to return statement, right? Going to return our tags. I'm going to define div. So I'm literally going to pass a prop, right, as I did in a previous example. And guys, it's a bit different here, because in order to pass a prop in a stateful component, you have to use this. This is the syntax, right? This dot, and rest is the same, props dot name. So don't forget about, like, in stateful components you have to use this. It's a part of the actual state, right? And guys, we call it React state. This is the React state. And later on we're going to discuss even more about that. Okay, we need to export stuff, right? Export. Default and the name of the class, right? New component. Guys, we need a return statement, right? Return statement, and we're going to wrap it. I mentioned return statement, and that's exactly what we have to do. Here we go, guys. So now we have this return statement, right? You have render, and we're passing it back, right? And here we go, guys. We already have this. We passing the prop, right, as a name. And the cool stuff, guys, I can even define, can go back, right, back to app, and I can define hello guys, for instance, right? So it's everything going to be rendered, everything is going to be updated, right? And that's the beauty, guys. It's changing, right? It's not static. So guys, that's all about different types of components in React. And I think I have to wrap up this tutorial because it's quite long. And guys, I hope it makes sense, and let me know if you have any questions in the description below, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you very much, guys. And also, guys, subscribe, please subscribe if you really like my tutorials, and like this tutorial if you enjoy watching it. Thank you very much, guys, and see you next time. Goodbye.